Section 31 makes it impossible to root for Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou even if you saw Discovery. For years, Star Trek Discovery asked viewers to sympathize with one of its most complicated characters, Emperor Philippa Georgiou, played with commanding flair by Michelle Yeoh. Once a ruthless ruler from the Mirror Universe, Georgiou's transformation into a morally gray antihero was one of Discovery's most intriguing arcs. But now that Section 31 is stepping into the spotlight, it's becoming harder and harder to root for her, not because Yeoh's performance falters, but because the universe around her refuses to justify who she's become. When Discovery first introduced the Terran Emperor in Season 1, she was everything the Federation was not: brutal, calculating, and unapologetically violent. Yet over time, the series asked us to see her differently, stripped of her empire and thrown into the Prime Universe. Georgiou evolved. She was still sarcastic, manipulative, and deadly, but she began to care in her own twisted way. Her mentorship of Michael Burnham and her eventual self-sacrifice to protect the Mirror Universe version of herself in Terra Firma cemented her as someone capable of redemption, or at least of reflection. But Section 31, the long-gestating spin-off film starring Yeoh, complicates that entire arc. It thrusts Georgiou back into the heart of Starfleet's most secretive, ethically bankrupt organization, one that thrives on manipulation, assassination, and quiet control. The very existence of Section 31, and Georgiou's role in it, undermines the moral evolution Discovery worked so hard to craft. From redemption to regression. In Discovery, Georgiou's emotional journey was messy but rewarding. She wasn't trying to be good. She was trying to survive, to adapt, and to find meaning in a universe that didn't operate by her rules. When the show finally allowed her to leave the 32nd century and step into her own timeline, it felt like a full circle moment, the chance for a second life. However, in Section 31, that supposed new life begins in the shadows. Georgiou's association with the Federation's covert ops division instantly redefines her character. Instead of becoming a wiser version of herself, she's drawn back into a world where moral compromise is not only accepted but required. It's the same ruthless empire she once ruled, just cloaked in Federation uniforms. How do you root for someone when every victory demands a moral sacrifice? Section 31's methods, sabotage, spying, and calculated murder, are the antithesis of everything Star Trek has stood for since 1966. It's the kind of story where no one gets out clean, not even someone as magnetic as Yeoh's Georgiou. The Yeoh paradox. Michelle Yeoh is extraordinary. She commands every scene with sharp wit and regal menace, her presence alone capable of elevating even the darkest material. It's easy to want to root for her because Yeoh makes Georgiou fascinating, not because the script makes her admirable. But therein lies the paradox. Yeoh's charisma masks the fact that Georgiou, even when she does the right thing, rarely does it for the right reason. Her choices are pragmatic, her compassion conditional. That complexity was thrilling in Discovery, where her actions reflected a clash of values between two universes. But in Section 31, the context changes. Now, she's surrounded by people who agree with her moral flexibility, and that robs her of contrast, of growth, of challenge. The character who once stood out as a dark mirror to Starfleet ideals is now part of an organization that blurs those ideals entirely. Without opposition, her edge dulls. She's not rebelling against corruption. She's enforcing it. Section 31's ethical black hole. Section 31's biggest storytelling problem has always been how to justify its existence within the Federation's utopian framework. The idea of a secret intelligence agency operating outside Starfleet's moral boundaries has narrative appeal. It's espionage in a world of explorers. But the franchise has rarely managed to make it work without damaging its own ideals. Deep Space Nine flirted with the concept brilliantly, using Sloan and Bashir's tense exchanges to question whether security could ever justify secrecy. Discovery used Section 31 to explore control, manipulation, and identity. But Section 31, the movie, risks glamorizing the very thing those series warned against. Georgiou as a protagonist blurs the line between critique and endorsement. When she kills, manipulates, or betrays, it's framed as efficient rather than evil. Her strength, poise, and subtle emotion can make even a moral downfall captivating. But if Section 31 tries to sell Georgiou as a hero rather than a warning, it will fail her completely. Because the truth is simple. Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou doesn't need redemption. She needs honesty. And Star Trek needs to remember that sometimes the bravest thing it can do is admit that not every story should have a hero.